Welcome to another edition of Bases and Balls with Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus, brought to you by our good friends at NECA IBEW. Rosie, we get the Central Division. I so enjoyed your reporting and your conversations and interviews and fun in the post-game locker room afterwards. Talk about that setting. It just looked like so much fun.
You know what, Ray, that never gets old, and we've been fortunate since 2013 to have quite a few of those since Terry Francona took over as manager, and Sunday was no different. It actually had kind of a different feel because there were so many young players who hadn't been in that environment in the major leagues anyway. They've had some minor league championships, but I think the unexpected part from the outside made it pretty cool, and they let it rip once they got going, and it was just that release of not tension but just satisfaction of a job well done over the course of a long period of time. I think that's what makes when a regular season title is clinched, it makes it a little more special because so much time and effort goes into that, and there's so many ups and downs over a baseball season, and then you get to celebrate that accomplishment, and they did on Sunday for sure.
Rosie, each and every season has a pinnacle part in it that maybe you look back and you've seen every pitch, every swing of the bat during this baseball season. Me personally, when I look at this baseball team and the way the season unfolded, I personally point to the time when Terry Francona finally put Stephen Kwan into that leadoff position. I thought that really jump-started the offense, especially with Miles Straw at the bottom. You almost had back-to-back leadoff guys there. But with you there for every pitch during this season, was there a point in this season that you can point to personally and say, you know what, that was a big weekend, or that was a big game, or this was a big moment? Is there one of those for you?
Well, I'm going to go with two. I think for sure the day that Jose Ramirez signed the long-term contract, right as the team was leaving spring training, that changed everything. There was kind of a cloud over the team. I'm not going to lie to you, Ray. Spring training was just, I don't want to say blah, but there hadn't been many player moves in the off season, and you're kind of wondering what's going on with Jose. The contract's winding down, and are they going to move him if he doesn't sign long-term? And you kind of thought they might, and how depressing that would have been because he means so much to this team. And then on the way to Kansas City, we learned that he was going to sign and stay with the team for a long time. So that was huge. But then on field, I think the night in Chicago in May, when Josh Naylor went wild in the late innings and they overcame a huge deficit late and won that ball game in extra innings over the White Sox, that started that trend of late game comebacks, that feeling that they're never out of a game, and things seem to fall into place from there.
This team is really catching the baseball world as well, not just us here in Northeast Ohio, reading and listening to reporting on this team. And, I turned the clock back maybe a decade ago when those Kansas City Royals were kind of trendsetters of going to the bullpen, right? They would go to the starters for 4 or 5 innings, and then they had the guy for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. When you look at our Guardians team, I'm wondering if, through your conversations and contacts around baseball, if our team now could be a trendsetter in the way we play offense and putting the bat on the ball and getting down those strikeouts and making things happen.
Well, it's interesting you say that because wherever we have gone, and I thought Texas was a good example because it's outside the division. A lot of people there hadn't seen the team play. And then over the weekend, they were the only team that clinched. So there was some national recognition there too. And everyone almost everywhere we go, they love the way the Guardians play the game because it's different. It's not the 3 true outcomes where you're just waiting for a walk, a strikeout, or a home run. There's action. There's a ton of stuff going on. It's fun. But not every team can do that. They did that because of the talent that they have to take advantage of what they did well. It's not going to work in New York. Aaron Judge isn't, well, I guess he is a contact hitter because he might lead the league in batting average. But you know what I mean? Like Giancarlo Stan, guys like that, they're thumpers. That's their identity. So it's not going to work for them. It's not going to work for a lot of teams. It works for this team. This team could be set up a little bit different next year, and it might not work as well next year. We don't know that yet. But for this particular group of players, it worked beautifully. And so I think they'll try and stick with that, but you really have to know your talent and what they do well. And there was a lot of thought put into it in the offseason by the hitting group, Chris Valleca coming on as the hitting coach, but also those on the baseball operations side did a lot of studies on what would work well based on a talent like a Stephen Kwan. Even Jose Ramirez is a good contact hitter when he's going well. So you got to play to your strengths, and that's what the Guardians have done. It's not going to work for everybody, but it works really well for this team.
Bases and balls, Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus with us. Rosie, we get the best of 3 at home in this new wild card round setup for us. A lot of people trying to gather this in. We still don't know the opponent because it could be one of 3 teams, but I like this additional round. Talk about it for us.
I do too. I mean, the one and done, you run into a hot pitcher and ugh, well, that didn't last long. And the Guardians are proof of that. Back in 2013, it didn't go well. Look, at least this way, if you run into a tough pitcher, you have a game to work out of it and then maybe another one to win it. So I like it, and I like the reward for winning the division. You get 3 games at home. And if you're the top wild card team of the 3, you get 3 games at home. There's a reward for playing good baseball and winning your division or being the top wild card team. So hopefully it works out no matter who they play. I think every team presents its challenges, whether it's the Mariners, Blue Jays, or Rays. But I think this team has a ton of confidence that no matter who they play, things will go well and they'll move on.
Finally, we wrap up the regular season with all these games against the Royals, and this goes back to the beginning of the year when we had those washouts. So good time to finish strong and get that momentum going to next weekend.
Yeah, and it's been encouraging really since Sunday. Tito's giving some players some time off. Not a whole lot. You want to keep them sharp, but he's juggled the lineup a bit, but they're still playing Guardians baseball, that style that you had mentioned earlier. And that's what he's looking for. Hey, just keep playing hard, get the good pitching. And, they hope to win as many as they can. You always try and win a ball game, but most important, line that pitching up. They have the starters lined up. Make sure you don't overwork the bullpen, and then make sure your position players are rested, but still sharp. So it's kind of a lot of moving pieces, but they're very good at it. And so far it's gone well during this week.
Well, Rosie, can't wait for the calls this weekend against the Royals. And man, we're all set for playoff baseball already. I know we have to wait a week, but we'll be ready to go. As always, my friend, thanks for making time with us today.
You got it right.